Why tzitzit? Especially for women, because historically women haven't worn tzitzit in the Jewish culture traditionally. But why do I believe that we should all be wearing tzitzit, including women? Let's dive into it.
Hey, I'm Kinsey. I'm a multi-passionate homesteader who follows Yahusha. I like to talk a lot, and I'm a little goofy, but I really believe in intentional living, and I love my family. This is our story at the Flocking Farm, and this is the Live Out Loud podcast.
For your context, in case you don't know, but since you're following this channel, likely you do, I'm a Torah observant follower of Yahusha. That means I believe that Jesus came, I believe that he was the Messiah, but I believe that he came to teach against the traditions and rules of man, the oral Torah at the time. Much of that is considered the Talmud today, but that the Torah itself, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, that those are still applicable to us. Irregardless of that, even if you are not Torah observant, I think that we could make a strong case for wearing tzitzit today. What is tzitzit? These are the tassels that you would attach to your garment on the 4 corners of your garment. Now, there is an argument made that we don't wear the same type of materials that they used to. So therefore, since we don't actually have 4 corners on our actual garment, we don't necessarily need to wear tzitzit. That's not the argument that I am making, because I think it's still something that's extremely powerful that can give us a physical representation of God's instruction to remind us of things. And I don't think that you necessarily have to have a garment that is sewn to where there are 4 corners. On this garment in particular, I have pockets, so I just put it on either side of my seam. But it is my belief that even if you don't follow the original Testament's laws found in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, also called the Torah, if you are not an advocate of following those laws, which is a whole nother video, it's probably a whole series of videos, because I have a lot of opinions on this topic in particular. But it's a very large and heavy topic that I do want to get to, but is going to take a lot of data collection and writing to make sure that I'm actually getting to the points. So it is outside the scope of this quick little video. But that aside, I think we could still make a pretty good argument for wearing tzitzit today. The way that I like to think about tzitzit is it gives us a physical representation to tie us to the spiritual realm, to tie us to God's commandments. And very much like how somebody today might wear a cross. This, however, was commanded. And the reason I believe that there's a fairly strong argument for wearing tzitzit, even if you're not necessarily Torah observant, is because we know that Yahusha, Jesus himself, wore tzitzit. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read off the different Bible verses that I have here in reference to tzitzit. There are not a ton of them. It is mentioned twice in the law, and there are several different mentions that I'm going to bring up in the Renewed Testament. But the conclusion that I am drawing here is, if Yahusha came to set the example and we are supposed to follow in the way of Yahusha, as it says in 1 Corinthians 11:1, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Mashiach, Messiah. Also in 1 John 2:6, it says, he that says he abides in him ought himself also so to walk, even as he walked. 1 Peter, for even hereunto were ye called, because Mashiach, Messiah, also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow in his steps. I think that we're all in agreement here that Yahusha, Jesus, sets the example that we're supposed to follow. And because of that, we know, based off of scripture, that he himself wore tzitzit. Matthew 9:20, it says, and behold, a woman that was diseased with the issue of blood 12 years came behind him and touched the tzitzit of his garment. Oftentimes in different translations, it'll say the fringes of his garment, but the word here that is used is for tzitzit. So if we are to walk in the way that Yahusha walked, the example that Jesus himself set, and Jesus himself wore tzitzit, why wouldn't this be something that we would strive to do? I do want to bring up the portions that define tzitzit in the original Testament. It is found both in Numbers as well as in Deuteronomy. We'll start with Numbers. It's a little bit of a longer passage. Speak unto the children of Yisrael and bid them that they make them tzitzit in the border of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put them upon the tzitzit of the borders ribboned of blue. And it shall be unto you a tzitzit, that ye may look upon it and remember the commandments of Yahuwah, and do them, and that ye may seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, which ye go a-whoring, that ye may remember to do all my commandments and be holy unto your Elohim. Numbers 15:38 through 40. We also find this commandment later in Deuteronomy, where it says, you shall make tzitzit upon the four corners of your vesture wherewith you shall cover yourself. So technically, when the law talks about tzitzit, it says to hang it on the four corners of your garment and that it should have a ribbon of blue. Historically, they were made with white with a ribbon of blue going through them, but this is up to interpretation. You could have it pink and green and purple, and it doesn't really matter as long as there's a ribbon of blue. You could even just take a blue thread and put that on your garment, because that is the instruction that it gives, that it should have a ribbon of blue running through it. I personally like to make tzitzit that is white with the ribbon of blue running through, so it really makes the blue pop, because that is the color that we are instructed to make tzitzit out of. But as long as it contains blue, you're good to go. Here's why I think women should wear tzitzit. Did you hear anywhere in there where it said men? It said, speak unto the children of Yisrael. Didn't say men shall. It said the children of Yisrael, Israel, those who wrestle with God, his chosen people. He said those people are to wear tzitzit. So I actually believed for a very long time that tzitzit was a male-only command. Reading the law myself, I have not come to that conclusion. So I have started to wear tzitzit in the past year and a half. My husband was the one that brought it up to me. He said, what's up with the tzitzit thing? Maybe we should look into it. And so we read the passages, and I said, you're right. I think we should start wearing it. So I made it for all of us. It's a little difficult, like trying to figure out when kids should start wearing them, because it doesn't like give an age that you should or shouldn't. We know that we're supposed to dedicate a child in the way that they should go, and when they're old, they shall not depart from it. We are to set the example. We're to meditate on the law day and night. But I have found it very difficult to put tzitzit on onesies, so we've decided to do it once our kids start walking. I have little itty bitty tzitzit that I made for my daughter. If you're interested in how I make tzitzit, go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below, and we'll see if that's a demonstration video that I could make. We have decided as a family that we're all going to wear tzitzit. And let me tell you, since wearing tzitzit, I have made some really incredible connections that I otherwise never would have made. I've gotten connected to people. A friend of mine now, my midwives knew that I wore tzitzit, and she was coming in to talk about an internship there because she wanted to become a midwife, and they noticed that she wore tzitzit, and so they connected us because we both wore tzitzit. How stinking cool is that? There's been a couple of different instances like that where I've been able to make immediate connections with people because they know tzitzit and what it represents. Is it something that traditionally is done by those who are Torah observant? Yes, but even if one is not Torah observant, which again is a whole nother conversation, of course I'm very passionate about it, but it's going to take a lot of data and research to be able to distill it down to concisely portray that message to you. But even if you're not, if you believe in living in the footsteps of Yahusha, in the example that Jesus himself set, if we know that he wore tzitzit, and that's my argument for you. Whether you're a man or a woman, Torah observant or not, I think that there's something intrinsically powerful about Tzitzit itself. It helps bring the law into something tangible for us to connect with. It helps to ground the spiritual. And as far as for me, it's helped to be very fruitful in creating connections with other individuals. Those who are Torah observant, that might be something that might scare you off of Tzitzit if you're not. Torah observant is being perceived as being Torah observant. I can understand that. But again, I'm of the opinion that the Torah is still applicable for us. The good instruction is still for us even today, even with Yahusha being the Messiah and having come. We can see aspects of the Torah that he himself followed. He always challenged the oral Torah, the tradition, and the politics at the time, but he never contradicted God's word. Ever. If Jesus were to have contradicted the Torah by God's own definition, he would have had to be a false prophet. By God's own definition, I don't believe that anything that Jesus said was in contradiction to God's law. I don't. Getting ahead of myself here because I'm really passionate about this topic, but again, irregardless of any of that, irregardless, who actually knows what it is? I think it's irregardless because it doesn't matter one way or another if we're picking apart Torah or not. We know that Yahusha, we know that Jesus wore tzitzit, and if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. Thank you for spending some time with me here covering this short little topic today. Could have been anywhere and you chose to spend some time with me, and I really appreciate that. Would it be too much to ask for you to hit that subscribe button? Really helps me start to reach more people as we grow this channel and continue to have these conversations with you. Leave a comment down below on a topic that you would like to hear me cover next. And until next time, I hope that you are well. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I love you. Shalom.